It's KFI AM 640, and you're listening to The Conway Show on demand on the iHeart Radio app. Phil Shuman's with us from Fox 11, formerly with Channel 4 NBC. Been a staple in a lot of people's homes. My home for many, many years. And he joins us. So this story, before we went to break, I think you doubted the validity of the story, or at least where I got this from. New York Post is where I got it from.
All right.
So New York Post, this woman calls one of these junk services. Her name is Susan Nussbaum. And she had used this junk removal service before. I think we've used it. You've used it in the past. You know, you call them up. They say $800 to remove a couch. You say, I'll give you $30, and they take the couch.
Right. What I questioned was the way the story was retold.
Okay. All right.
You know, you don't just accidentally leave a safe with $100,000 lying around.
She called, and she had a bed, a bookshelf, and a large wall unit with cabinets. And hauling it away was going to cost her $412. And a whole lot more, they said. The wall unit housed a safe filled with precious jewelry and $100,000 worth of great sentimental value, according to the Manhattan Supreme Court. And they took the cabinet that contained the safe. So it was her fault.
Correct.
For leaving that safe inside that cabinet. And now, where is the safe? And where is the money? Where is the jewelry? I don't know. Big lawsuit. Big lawsuit going on.
Well, Tim, that's a fascinating story. Not sure what it has to do with the fire crisis we're all in the middle of, but it's a good diversion.
It is a good diversion.
As are the Rams.
Because people are calling.
We're on the road.
I know. The Rams.
At where?
People are calling these junk services to get rid of all the crap in their yard. Yeah, they're playing in Arizona.
At
State Farm.
Isn't that ironic?
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
It is really. You know, I had to use one of those junk services. There was a guy in our alley sleeping on a couch, homeless guy. And I called the cops. The cops show up at Burbank, and they couldn't do anything about it because the guy said all the right things. And so I called one of these junk service guys who's not the cops, and they take the homeless guy, take him off the couch, take the couch, and they're gone. It cost me $100, but at least that wasn't the start of an enclave, an encampment there. And you've dealt with the encampments.
Oh, yeah, sure.
I think almost everybody knows.
Yeah, the Hollywood Bowl Park and Ride Lot on Cahuenga and Studio City was a huge encampment during the pandemic.
Yeah.
And this was so frustrating because you're familiar with where that is.
Sure, right off the freeway
Boulevard there.
Yeah.
So it's the county owns the parking lot. The state owns the on-ramps and off-ramps. The city owns the sidewalk. So you can imagine the finger-pointing and passing of the buck during that situation.
Yeah.
But I do give credit to Nithya Raman. When she took office, she got on that. And so, it's cleaned up, and now it's quite a different situation.
But I think that it just, Adam Carolla had said something really smart. He said there's 150,000 people who are instantly homeless because of this fire, right? They're unhoused. And yet none of them slept on the streets that night because they all have networks. They either have money or they have friends or family that they can go to.
Okay.
And so maybe the homeless issue is more of a psychological problem with some people than it is an actual housing issue.
I think it's both, but certainly that's a huge part of it. I mean, that's part of the story we've all been telling, right?
That's right. That's right. All right. We are going to warn you about this like we did last Monday. Huge winds potentially coming with gusts up to 70 miles an hour tonight, tomorrow, and Wednesday.
So what does that mean? That means that wherever you are, really, you need to be prepared.
Right.
I mean, if you haven't packed a bag by now or at least thought about what you would do and plan it, then you haven't been paying attention because who knows where the next blaze is going to break out. That's what's so frightening about this whole thing.
Yeah, and then we're talking about rehousing people. I know that it's early on in what will this look like?
Repopulation.
Yeah. But, the one really tough commission in California that has more power and is not even answerable.
I know what you're going to say.
That California Coastal Commission. They can make your life a living hell.
Yeah, and there's already skepticism that they'll even, quote, allow, unquote, these homes to be rebuilt.
Right. Because they want the coast to be reverted back to what it looked like, in 1500.
And then John made some good points. If you were listening to him this afternoon, when Newsom's talking about waiving all the red tape and regulations, like, well, if you don't need them, Why are they there in the first place?
5 years ago, why didn't they do
Yeah.
that? Yeah. All right, let's listen to this report on rehousing, repopulating these areas. What is this going to look like in Altadena? What's it going to look like in Pacific Palisades, in Malibu, in Arcadia, in parts of Pasadena as well?
The debris still smolders. Thousands of acres of damage still untouched by recovery teams. Today, roadblocks and patrols by the National Guard have visibly increased. There have now been more than 60 arrests in evacuated areas, mainly for looting and burglary.
The criminals have decided that this is an opportunity, and I'm here to tell you that this is not an opportunity. You will be arrested, you will be prosecuted, and you will be punished to the full extent of the law.
Some have lost more than possessions. One of the victims of the Palisades fire was 32-year-old Rory Sykes, a child actor from the 90s British TV show Kiddie Capers. He lived with cerebral palsy, and his mother says she escaped but could not save him.
The biggest fear I had was that he might burn and hurt, because I think burning must be the most painful death.
Oh my God, this poor woman with a kid with cerebral palsy, and she couldn't find him, and she had to leave because the house is on fire and she was getting burned. Oh, I don't know, and this is not, 10,000 miles from here. This is in our backyard.
Yeah, I mean, the stories are just beginning to emerge. I mean, we're going to hear just countless stories like that over and over and multiply it by 1,000.
I know, everybody's got a story here.
And the fire department chiefs said, no, he will have died of carbon monoxide poisoning first. I just can't believe my baby's not going to be here.
Oh, my God.
The cleanup task is so vast, it will stretch on for months. There have been promises by officials that the rebuilding process will be made as quick as possible by cutting red tape to help people put their lives back together.
A friend of mine made a really good point. He's in the real estate game. These beautiful homes that are in Pacific Palisades, a lot of them were built in, the 1930s, 40s, and 50s. And people don't have that skill set anymore. And if they do, they're few and far between. The people who have the skills to build homes, there are some of them here, but they're not going to build 12,000 houses like that. We don't have the manpower to do that.
Yeah, and I also read an interesting article about all the historic structures that were lost.
Oh, yeah, right, yeah.
Will Rogers' house in the Palisades is one of them. Lots of them in the Pasadena, Altadena area.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. All right, let me pick the story up here.
But there's frustration that in many places it's still too dangerous to start. And the job of rehousing people will take time.
It will take months, if not years. I know that in Hawaii it took at least temporary housing to occur for a year. So we don't know what the situation will be here.
All around, signs of the trauma the city has suffered as the fires overwhelmed communities. As people try to escape from the oncoming flames in this part of Pacific Palisades, many just abandoned their cars, and you can imagine the sense of panic. Many just appearing to have crashed into each other as they tried to flee. And you can see why they ran, because here's what's left after the fire reached this spot not long after. 23 people are still missing, and many addresses are still to be searched for human remains.
Yeah, and they may not find everybody. People might be burned beyond recognition or being able to identify who they are.
Yeah, I think the death toll right now is 24, but everybody expects that to increase significantly.
Yeah, at least 24 people are missing as well. So we got the high winds coming in. We heard earlier in the last hour, James Brotherton, he's with the National Weather Service. He said these winds are going to be, they won't be as severe. They're going to be close. And all we need is close to, start up.
Right, but the difference this time is we have a lot more resources here in Southern California, pre-positioned, at least if you listen to the authorities and their briefings. I mean,
and a lot of eyeballs. Everybody's looking out for these guys now, trying to start a fire. Everybody. So we will continue. I'm going to be on tonight from midnight till 3 a.m. And then I'm not sure who's coming on at 3 a.m. Who's that? Oh, Valentine's coming on here? All right. He's not going to play music, is he? Okay. All right. But he's coming on between 3 and 5. And then we have Amy King,
and then handle
the
his whole crew.
run.
Yeah, I mean, the best we can hope for is that the winds aren't as strong as forecast, or if they are, that all of these resources and these quick reaction forces can get ahead of this thing, and so it doesn't get out of control like Tuesday night.
Yeah, and it's really look, everybody who's listening right now, there's a real difficult balance about complaining. I've heard people complain that they lost a tree from their backyard, and man, that sounds out of touch compared to what people have lost.
Yeah, I haven't heard a lot of that. I mean, yeah, people with minor damage or wind damage are going to file an insurance claim. It's like, well, maybe you might have to take a little bit of a back seat, as you understand.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, look, as we said earlier, we're not even a week into this. We're talking about a life-changing event, a city-changing, a county. And so we're not even beginning to get into this. What I want to know going forward is how we're going to help these people. How are we going to physically clean up? Where's all the debris going to go?
Right, they have to put this debris.
Where are people going to live for 2, 3, 4 years? I read a story today about a woman displaced from the Woolsey fire who's been in a hotel for 6 years.
Yeah, it's crazy. And they got to put this debris in these envelopes before they bury them. They're like they look like burrito wraps.
Okay,
and they got to wrap this stuff up before they put it in landfill. And so that's going to take a long time. And all the asbestos, especially in the older. Okay, thank you, Bella. But especially in the Altadena area, when they have all this debris, and a lot of houses there were built in the 1920s or so, and there's asbestos,
right? And
a lot of the building material that's used to build these houses is petroleum, and
it's all toxic. It's all a big toxic
exactly.
Mess.
Yeah. So it is an absolute mess. And it's going to be a major headache for a lot of people for a long, long time.
You're listening to Tim Conway Jr. on demand from KFI AM 640.
I'm going to be on until 7 o'clock. Mo Kelly comes in at 7. And then tonight, midnight to 3 a.m. At 3 a.m., Valentine is coming on, and he's going to go until 5 a.m. and then regularly programming after that. We have Officer Rodriguez with us. He is the public information officer with the Palisades Fire, and he's with us. Officer, how are you, sir?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming on. What do you know out there? What's the latest information? Are you nabbing people for looting?
Well, yeah, we'll leave that to law enforcement. Right now, our crews are out there working really hard before this wind event, preparing everything to make sure we don't get surprised. Guys have been out there working 24/7, making sure that we go into interior of the perimeter, making sure that all the homes that are still standing have structural protection all around, and we increase that fire line.
Hey, it's Phil Shuman here. Let me ask you this. What do you have in terms of resources tonight, say, compared to a week ago?
Well, right now we have 4,700 personnel on this fire. We literally built a small city along PCH in a couple of locations here, and we feel like we've done a lot of great work. We have the resources that we need, and we're hoping to not get surprised over the next couple of hours when the wind picks up.
Officer Rodriguez, were you on the front lines on Friday when that fire was coming over the hill towards Tarzana and Encino?
I was not. I was on the incident. I've been here since Tuesday, trying to help out our crews. But I did been traveling all over the place and around, and I saw that. I was on Mandeville a couple of nights ago.
Right. But, man, they did an unbelievable job keeping that fire. I don't know if it was Falls Check, but they put 100 engines or so on that Mulholland and on that dirt road, and they did not allow that fire to get into the valley, man. I think they deserve an attaboy or an attagirl for that.
Yes, definitely. We've had engines, we've had crews, we had air attack, we had helicopters and airplanes dropping, that fire retardant. So things are looking good for us. We're happy that we're able to protect that east flank of the fire, and we're hoping that today we will do more have more success.
Is there a hard and fast number in terms of the wind speed that grounds the helicopters on the fixed wing, or is it depend on the situation? Does it depend on the agency? Does it depend on the person in charge or on the pilot?
Yes, but 70 miles an hour winds, that's tough. Even if they would be willing to take off and do it, it all depends on what you're risking and what you're gaining, right? But at that point, the winds are so fast that even if we try to drop anything, it wouldn't really do much. The wind will just take it all away.
A lot of people have been saying this. We just had Chris Berry, who was here with KFI, flew into Burbank Airport this morning and didn't see any smoke anywhere. Everyone was talking about what a beautiful, Southern California winter day this is. Is there any open flame anywhere? Is there a firefight that we're unaware of?
Well, yeah, we've gotten that question right now, and to be honest, right now it's probably one of the hardest times for firefighters. Besides the initial attack, it's making sure that they go to the interior. There's a lot of hiking, a lot of digging. Some of those smoldering pieces of wood that are underground, root systems. So there's a lot of heat on this perimeter, inside the perimeter of the fire, and that's where we're focusing most of our efforts.
I imagine the open gas lines are still a tremendous problem for you and the crews.
Well, we have utility companies here that are doing their best to make sure everything's safe, not only for us, but for the crews coming in and out, but
Sure.
obviously to start getting that repopulating those areas that were not affected, and also starting that process of rebuild.
How do these firefighters physically hold up? What is a shift for a firefighter in this type of crisis?
Yeah, I mean, it's a long and arduous work. They're out there hiking if you're out in the middle of the mountains. If not, you're digging up, you're digging up old roots. You're moving around. You're hiking with line and.
But I mean, how many hours in a day are they on?
They're doing 24 hours right now.
24 hours straight.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, that is man, that is something.
That's remarkable.
Yeah. And then
some of those crews have done 48 at the beginning of this incident.
Right, Officer Rodriguez with this. How do you know that an area has been cleared and it's no longer a threat? Where you've dug up the roots, you've dug up the gas lines. Have you mapped it out and then you just put a big X through it and move on?
Yeah, so you'll see. We'll have maps, and it's what we call containment. I'm sure you'll see it on some CAL FIRE website and LA City Fire website. You'll see the black line, and that's where we know 100% that portion of the fire will not reignite.
Right.
What can you tell us, if anything, about the reports that the Palisades fire may have started on the location of a fireworks fire on New Year's Eve that had been smoldering? Anything on that from the fire department yet?
This is going to be a long process. This is going to be a lot of investigations on where it started. We don't have that information yet.
Okay,
but we'll share it with you.
Well, God bless you and your crews tonight when this wind picks up. You've done an amazing job. I hope that everyone is safe out there. Appreciate you coming on, and thank you for the homes that you have saved and the tremendous effort you guys have put together.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Appreciate it. All right, Officer Rodriguez with us. We thank him. We are going to continue here. We're also watching for the people who are sports fans, maybe need a little distraction. The Los Angeles Rams are in the playoffs. They're playing right now against the Minnesota Vikings. I'm a huge Rams fan. I think you are too, Phil.
Yeah.
Big.
They're exciting.
My dad was a big Rams fan as well. And the Rams are up 7-0 in their first quarter with about 10 minutes left. So go Rams.
You're listening to Tim Conway Jr. on demand from KFI AM 640.
Keep one eye on the Los Angeles Rams as they try to win a playoff game here. And, with this, it's 7-0 right now in the first quarter. And you're a big Rams fan, right?
Big football fan.
Huge football fan. All right, one of my favorite players who works here in the building, I've known him for a long time, real guy's guy, David Howard is with us. He unfortunately has lost his home in the fire in the Palisades. David, welcome to KFI, buddy. I can't believe what you've been through, man.
Yeah, it touches me though.
Yeah.
It's many people in the Palisades, and also our hearts go out to all the people and victims in Altadena for sure. It's unimaginable, and it's nothing like I've ever seen before in my life. It's just tragic beyond words.
Were you home when the fire started?
So I think I actually was talking to you and Mark last Tuesday, and I had just escaped. The flame had the flames jumped the ridge. The fire primarily was going northeast for quite a while, all day long. Around 4 o'clock, the wind shifted, and within minutes, houses above me started to burn. And I think I might have told you there was no fire protection anywhere, not a fire truck in sight. And
Wow.
One of my neighbors that had literally run down to the center of town, there were a couple fire engines down there, said to the fire department, hey, this area is starting to burn. It's coming over the ridge. Homes are already on fire. And his response was, I'm so sorry, there's nothing we can do. And, at first I was angry at the firefighters.
Wait, why'd they say that? Were they didn't have water? They didn't have the manpower?
Well, that's what I'm getting to.
Okay.
At the end of the day, it turns out that there was no water anywhere to save those houses. And the winds were bad, and we don't want to put firemen in harm's way. That's not the objective at all. But, I shared a couple interesting points with some friends, and, a lot of people don't know the topography of the Palisades. And, not everybody is literally right up to the ridge line where the forest is and where the brush is. The town burnt down. There's nothing left in town. And the town is just like any other town. It's in the center of town, and there's homes around it. It's a little bit away from the mountains. And yes, of course, there's embers that could flow. But how there were no fire trucks to at least save the town is just so beyond anything that anybody can comprehend. And people are angry about it. And people are more angry at the incompetency of, obviously, the LADWP, no water in the reservoirs. The hydrants were not working. And Karen Bass, right? Like, people need to be held accountable for this because people's lives are upside down. And not everybody in Pacific Palisades lives in a 50,000 square foot mansion's a movie star.
Right.
So these are hardworking people. They have families. The elderly we're super concerned about because a lot of these guys don't have insurance at all. If they lived in their house for 50 years and their mortgages were paid, a lot of these people used the equity in their home to be able to provide homes for their children, and they're wiped out. So, there's so many stories, Tim, that it's everybody has one. And I went to a temporary post office today, and I saw 30 neighbors. 30 neighbors just kind of were all just, what are we doing here? And people are crying, and it's just awful. And I would rather my house burn down by itself to save the town any day of the week, right? And I think everybody else that would agree with me. Like, everybody does. Like, we would give up our own homes to save that town.
Sure.
And because you can move to another home, right, in the town, or you can rent a home. But there's no town to do any of that.
David,
because the entire thing was decimated.
How long have you and your family been in that same house, that same location?
30 years.
Oh, my God.
30 years.
So it's 30 years of holidays, of Thanksgiving, of birthdays, of bringing the kids up. And it's just gone, and I can't imagine what that's like going back and looking at that. I don't know how you get up in the morning.
Yeah. Well, first of all, we can't get back, which right now because it's completely locked down, and I'm not really sure why at this point it's locked down. I guess you need to have the firefighters be able to move around. But my younger son Justin, he's 24. Him and I on Wednesday morning we woke up super early. And we snuck through one of the barriers and went kind of through a back road where most people don't know about. And I made a left, Tim, on Sunset and 26, which I think you're familiar with. And on both sides of Sunset Boulevard, there was just raging fire, embers. I'm like, what is going on? And, do we keep going and down power lines? We kept going. We made a right turn on Chautauqua into my neighborhood, and I didn't know where I was because I had no point of reference because everything was burnt.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
And I'm like, where are we? And then started going up the street and we just couldn't believe it. Both sides, for blocks and blocks, there wasn't a home standing, and there was homes still on fire and stuff burning, and we're just like, this is just unbelievable. It was unbelievable.
Dave, let me put you on hold if you don't mind. Can you stay with us?
Yeah, I want to share a couple other things with you as well.
Okay, good. I want to ask, what you do next and where you're staying, and this is one of the great guys I've ever met, in not just in radio but in life. David Howard is with us. We'll continue talking with him. Works here at KFI and iHeart Media. Lost his home. Lost the place where he brought his kids up. And I don't know what his next move is. We'll ask him when we come back.
You're listening to Tim Conway Jr. on demand from KFI AM 640.
Winds are kicking up tonight. They're going to go all through tomorrow and possibly into Wednesday. And so I'm coming back midnight to 3 a.m. I'll be here. We'll give you as much information as we can. Maybe take some phone calls. But right now, we're talking to David Howard. He's a sales executive here at iHeart Media. He lost his home in the Palisades. And David, I know you have a lot on your plate, and I'm sorry for asking, but have you thought, what your simple next move is? How do you rebuild? How do you start? What do you do?
Well, the first thing you do is you just try to, get the basics right. Like I ran out so quickly that I had one pair of sweatpants and one pair of tennis shoes. So,
oh my God.
We're trying to, get just basics to live day to day, obviously, toiletries, all those kinds of things. And we're staying at a friend's house, so that's providing a lot of relief for us. And people have been, not just for me, but, through these terrible crises and events, that's when you see the best of humanity. And it's overwhelming, the amount of support and love, and people are offering, like, what can I do for not just me, but everybody. And sometimes you just don't have an answer because you're not even sure,
Right.
And you're walking down the aisles of these stores, and you're just like, what am I doing? And it's hard to explain, but it's just a really kind of, it's still fresh. So it has to be, you have to go through all the different steps, and you know me well enough to know that, we're not going to let it stop us. The Palisades is a incredibly strong community, and there's a lot of pride in that community. And one of the things that's happened that I think is just so cool is to see the kids that grew up there, and these are young adults now, and they're, at least in my circle, that are, mid-20s to 24 to 28, and they're mobilizing, not just in LA, because a lot of these kids went away to school, and they're still living in the cities that they were in school. And there's a website that has been built and up, and it's called, if I can share it,
sure.
It's called Palisadesforever.com. And it's basically just hoodies and shirts and some really cool gear. They've already worked with all the 501c3s through Palisades Pride they're going to give all the money that they raise back for restoration, more for restoration, more for beautification.
That's great.
The park, the benches, the trees and flowers that burnt down in the middle of the median on the roads between the street lights. And you see these kids do it, and I'm like, God, this is unbelievable. What's the motivation? And they're like, we love the neighborhood that we grew up in, and we care about it, and we want to get it back as soon as possible. And the city's going to have some challenges, Tim, because everybody I know is reducing their tax base, their property tax base right now. And if the city's already broke, right, and they're going to lose a huge disproportionate amount of money, our only hope is that they streamline and get rid of all the red tape, and they say everything that they're going to do, but nobody, I think, at this point trusts any of it, because we feel like we've been betrayed and let down from the very beginning, starting from the lack of water in the reservoirs and the DWP, and Karen Bass's boondoggle to, she knew 3 days before this happened that these wind events were coming. This was not a surprise, and we were told that they were ready for it. And I know the winds are strong, and certain areas we're probably going to go anyway, but there were a lot of areas that should never have gone, ever.
Again, David Howard is with us. He works here as a sales executive at iHeart Media. David, when these fires started on the first night, it was Tuesday night. The sun had gone down.
Tuesday morning at 10:30.
Right, but I'm talking about when I was on Sunday night at around. I know the fire started at 10:30, but I was on at around 5 or 6 o'clock on Tuesday, and they were showing live footage of the Gelson's parking lot, and one of the trees in the parking lot of the Gelson's was on fire, and I said. To one of the producers here, I said, man, that's sort of unusual because that tree is probably 50 to 100 feet from any other shrubbery, any other building. Why is that tree on fire? And then I thought that was like a warning sign that this is going to be really, really bad. I never, in my wildest dreams, thought that Gelson's was going to be burned to the ground. Never.
Yeah, you're completely correct. Like nobody can we're
there's
all
no
scratching our heads.
shrubbery around it. It's surrounded by pavement, the entire thing.
But exactly. But worse than that was just to your point. How was there not a fire truck or a water pumper there to save the market?
I know.
Like it's unconscionable. Like nobody can understand it. And it's at this point. It's all political speak, and no one's giving real answers because they know if they give real answers, they're going to be in big trouble. And I know that petition circulating, for the mayor's office, and she's going to have a lot to overcome to get through this because, and the DWP as well. This is not going to be that's not going to be easy for them because a lot of people are upset. And by the way, it's not just people that live in the Palisades. It's everyone in town. All over is affected, from friends, from work, from people that they work with, and you can see it on people's faces. Like it was, our town has been devastated on both sides, from the beach to the San Gabriel Mountains. It's just brutal.
David, when you drive into town and you talk to people, you've run into people at the post office. Are you getting a sense that, because I know one person whose fire insurance was terminated about 3 months ago. Is anybody in that same boat where they lost their fire insurance?
Yeah, I know certain groups of people that or they were canceled, or they were told that effective February 1 they would be not have fire insurance. Fortunately for us, we were not. But that's a whole other discussion because once this thing, once they clean it and the toxins come out and the rebuild begins, the insurance, it's going to have to be fair plan, and the government's going to have to subsidize it because there's no way these private insurers are going to insurance, right? You pay for it your whole life to be insured, and then when you ask for the help, there's no money.
Yeah. Well, I heard that the insurance companies collectively have $20 billion to throw at this, but this is more like a $200 or $300 billion problem.
I mean, I was told, so real quick, yesterday, the entire day I was in meetings with a lot of people are mobilizing and a lot of people are forming groups because what's happening is so much information is coming for both Altadena and on the Palisades but no one's really sharing the information that they're hearing, things to do, things not to do, how to watch out for the scammers and so forth. And then when we ran that meeting, and then it was like a 3.5-hour meeting, and then we went to a secondary meeting last night. And so people are very, very engaged, or very involved, and they're trying to figure out what the next steps are going to be. But again, a lot of us are concerned for the elderly that have homes because I think they're really in trouble based on what I'm hearing. It's on having no fire insurance whatsoever, and that's just tragic. You live somewhere for 50 or 60 years, and you end up with nothing. It's heartbreaking.
It's horrible. David, I really appreciate coming on. We'll see you at the office, whenever, you're coming in or ready to come in. God bless you and your family. And please come back with us. If you run into any roadblocks, we'd love to have you on and help you out any way we can.
All right, Tim, I appreciate it. Sad, everybody, and I hope everybody gets through it together. Thank you.
Thank you. You're the best, man. It is heartbreaking.
You can just hear the anguish in his voice.
And this is a guy who was always upbeat. Hey, let's get go out to lunch. We got this guy. We got this going. We got this guy. He's always been upbeat, and then this really, it knocks you the hell out. When we come back, though, I want to ask you about this. I don't know what you know about reverse mortgages, but reverse mortgages are you're drawing off your property value.
Sure.
And you don't have to pay it back. They eventually, when you pass away, they get the money from the house. Well, if that house is not there anymore, the reverse mortgages must stop.
And what about your current mortgage?
And but in a reverse mortgage, if your mortgage stops and you're not getting more money, I think you then have to repay all the money that they've given you, and you have no asset. I don't know. That's something that nobody's talking about.
Yeah, it's an interesting question.
I don't know. All right, Phil Shuman is with us. It's Conway Show. We're live. Please, two things. Keep in mind, the winds are going to kick up from Ventura all the way to Burbank and beyond into Pasadena. There's going to be a lot of wind tonight, tomorrow, and Wednesday. It may not be 70-mile-an-hour winds sustained, but it's going to be windy. Not exactly like we had last week, but close. So that's a big deal. Remember that. And I'll be back at midnight tonight to talk you through it and be here, a live voice on the air from midnight to 3 a.m. We'll take some phone calls, a lot of phone calls. We'll really get a feel of what these different communities are going through. We're live on KFI AM 640.
Conway Show on demand on the iHeart Radio app. Now, you can always hear us live on KFI AM 640, 4 to 7 p.m. Monday through Friday, and anytime on demand on the iHeart Radio app.